Welcome to Super Doc Stories, the place where physicians stop playing small and start building the life, brand, and impact they were born to create. I'm Dr. Marissa Caudill, physician, CEO, and co-founder of Super Doc Tech. And if you're listening right now, something in you already knows you are meant for more than a packed clinic schedule, a shrinking sense of autonomy, or a career defined by someone else's metrics. Here at SuperDoc Tech Stories, we shine a light on bold, brilliant doctors who are stepping outside the traditional box of clinical medicine. The ones using technology, AI, and automations not just to run a cash pay practice, but to build movements, reshape their identities, and reach more people than medicine ever allowed them to before. Because in this new golden age of medicine, your expertise is currency. Your voice is public health intervention. And your story, it's the spark someone else has been waiting for. On this show, Mona and I share how we and dozens of super docs just like you have used the right tools, the right strategy, and the right support to turn overwhelm into clarity, confusion into confidence, and ideas into income. We talk about the emotional cycle of change, the valley of despair, yes, you will go through it, and how the right community and technology can rocket boost you straight into that phase of informed optimism and fulfillment. So if you're a physician building a cash pay practice, if you're dreaming of coaching, consulting, speaking, or creating, if you're ready to stop exchanging time for dollars and start scaling your wisdom, you are in the right place, and we want to hear your story. If you've got something powerful in the works, apply to be featured on this show by going to superdoctech.com/podcast-booking. We want to celebrate you, amplify you, and help you shine brighter than ever. All right, SuperDoc, let's dive in. Your next chapter starts now. Welcome back to Super Doc Stories. I'm your host, Dr. Marissa Caudill, and I'm here today with Dr. Carolyn Moyers, who is the founder of Sky Women's Health. She is an extremely successful physician, OBGYN, and we're going to be talking about her journey from being an employed hospitalist to now 5 years into her own business, which has grown 44% just this year. So welcome, Dr. Moyers.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Oh, I'm so excited to hear your stories. Tell me more about how, let's dial it back to 2020 when you said you started your Sky Women's Health business. What was going on in your head at that time? And what led you to make that big transition back then?
Yeah. So I came out of residency with the intent that I wanted to hone my craft. I wanted to be excellent at what I did. I had no intention of owning a business. To the point that I went and did a real health commitment to pay back my medical school loans near my hometown. And I was presented with, we will support your practice and help you to build your business. And then it's yours. Or you can sign this contract and be an employee and have benefits. And I said, yes, please sign that contract. No brainer, give it zero thought. Fast forward 5 years, I finished my rural health commitment. I've relocated to the city where I'm not one of 5 docs. I'm now one of 100. OBGYNs in the community. And I had 2 little boys, and in addition to my older son, so I had a 10-year-old, a toddler, and a newborn.
Wow.
And my husband was handed a job just out of the blue. And I said, please take it. I need a breather. I'm going to do some hospitalist shifts, just at night. And so I just made some adjustments there. And all to say that this led to a journey of discovery of what's next. And I looked at jobs across the country. We went and interviewed, take the babies with us everywhere, and ultimately we chose to stay. And through a mom Facebook group, I was offered an opportunity to help build a GYN program for a hormone therapy clinic. Okay. And through this experience, I learned a lot about what it takes to build a business and what kind of experience women want and what women are paying cash for and what we're not doing right in the hormone therapy world. And at the end of the year, though, it was very clear that I wasn't going to have a lot of surgical volume. I wasn't delivering any babies. And I thought, oh my God, the hospital is saying I don't have enough volume. I've got to go back and do volume. So I helped the company recruit somebody who wanted to do office gynecology and exited and started doing full-time OB hospitalist work at a busy center downtown.
Wow.
And then COVID hit and the protocols changed every day you walked in the door. And, even though it's only 8 shifts a month, you might have 3 shifts in 1 week. And I was just dead, I was constantly trying to recover and I was feeling frustrated. And deep seated in me was this desire, and I have no idea where it was birthed, to really serve women on a deeper level. I just kept believing that I deserve better from this healthcare system and women deserve better. And so part of that started forming as I was developing this gynecology arm for this hormone therapy clinic. And I just finally decided to pull the trigger in the middle of the pandemic. I kept talking about the type of practice I wanted. And one of my colleagues said, every time you talk about the type of practice, it makes me think of so-and-so over in Dallas. You need to go meet her. So I went and met Dr. Smith, and I was, walk into her practice and I'm like, yes, feeling from when you walk in is inviting and it's beautiful. And, she just showed me what was possible. And so I just decided to do it, because in September of 2020, I did not have any hospitalist shifts on Monday and Friday the entire month. And one of my colleagues had a new building and it was a beautiful office and they weren't using it on Mondays and Fridays.
Okay, perfect. There was an alignment. The universe opened up for you. I love it. It's amazing. So you're the third podcast I've done today, and it's amazing, these stories. It's all the same. Like, it happens because it was going to happen. And you recognized there was something in you that needed to change, that you needed to bring to the world, and then the world opened up to make it happen for you. So Sky was born then on Mondays and Fridays in September of 2020. Yeah. I love it. I love it. So, and what was it like for you? So you basically you were already feeling exhausted and burned out, and you added 2 days a week of work and building a business. And did you feel more exhausted, or did you feel more energized?
I felt energized and excited because it was something that I was dreaming. And so I literally drew it out on my kid's art easel, and I still have that somewhere. I need to go find it because many people have asked me, but I kind of drew out, like, these are the services and this is the experience that I want. And I did not have a business plan. I did not have a business loan. I did not have a wait list. I didn't do anything right? I just said, I'm going to do it and I'm going to figure it out. So one of my mom friends was a nurse and said, I want to be a part of this. So she showed up and we met and we chatted and we dreamed and we just started making things happen. So I still worked as a hospitalist. I just dropped the number of shifts that I was doing so that I had more focus. And so girl, I have just hustled. I did both for a while until I could, tinker down. And then I still was like, oh, well, I need locums. And it's finally to the point where with 44% growth year to date with me still doing locums, my husband was like, I think it's time for us to go all in, believe in yourself, go all in. You are worthy. You can make this happen. This is pulling from your creative juices, So it's a very exciting time.
All right. So who were the people you mentioned? I think Dr. Smith, who was an inspiration, but were there other people or communities that supported you in those first few weeks and months and years when you were starting out very part-time and still, I'm sure, uncertain about what it could be?
Yeah, I had so many people. I couldn't do it alone. I feel like you need a money coach and a business coach and a community to run a business. And especially in medicine, especially if you're going to do something outside of the box, it's so incredibly challenging because what you hear from the naysayers is that it's going to take 5 years and it's impossible and it's this and it's that. And, there's not a lot of positivity out there around healthcare these days. And so it's been a tremendous journey, but I had a midwife who had started her own practice who taught me a lot. And then Dr. Camilla Smith in Dallas was, just like a fairy godmother to teach me all the things. And then I joined EntreMD business school the day I opened my practice because I had been listening to her podcast and I was like, who is this pediatrician? And she has so much belief in me. I don't even believe I can do this.
She's amazing.
I got on the phone with her and I was like, yeah, I'm going to do this, and then I hired a money coach and then I did Empowering Women Physician, and Sunny Smith is amazing and have made lifelong friends through that process and people who can be accountability partners, So it's definitely not done in a silo. It's very lonely.
You can't, you definitely, well, I guess you could do it in a silo, but it will be lonely and it won't be energizing. It'll be draining because I was listening to Alex Hormozzi's podcast yesterday.
Yeah.
I love him. But he said something like, it's hard when your business is contracting. It's hard when your business is stagnating. It's hard when your business is growing. All of it is hard. And I think if you don't have community and support and people to remind you that you're not doing anything wrong when it's hard, you're learning and you're brave and you're doing it. And therefore it should be a celebration when it feels hard, because that means you're believing in yourself enough to push through and make your dreams a reality. Cool. Well, so all right, now you've grown 44% this year. You're still telling yourself that you need to be doing an employed job with locums in order to survive. So how are you going to push through this next limiting belief?
Well, I did some intensive coaching recently and we're past that. So I made the decision.
Well, we don't have to publish this podcast then until you've announced that to your employer. We were talking about how you made the decision to go Mondays, Fridays while still working in the hospital. Then you gradually, as Sky grew, you were able to cut back on those shifts. Correct. But at some point, then you transitioned to doing a full week of locums work, at least a few months of the year, right? To have a base income as you're still growing Sky. But now this year, you've done things to grow Sky 44%. And now you're having to change or think about, like, is the locums work still necessary in serving you?
Yeah. So I did some intensive coaching a couple of weeks ago. So a few months ago in EntreMD Business School, which I rejoined this summer because I realized with this amount of growth, in order to go to the next level, I need to work on myself as a leader. I went to EntreMD Live without the intention of joining the business school, but simply to work on myself for that day as a leader. And I just felt the urge, and my money coach happened to be there. And I was like, am I crazy? I think I'm going to do this, and I know I can pay for it. And so I went ahead and joined, and it's been the best decision that I've made. So we were working in the business school a couple of months ago on who's your next critical hire. And I realized that my next critical hire was me.
Buy yourself out, right? Yeah.
Right, because I have been reinvesting in the business and working the locum to pay myself and just reinvesting in the business and not prioritizing paying myself as a CEO and physician. And I just decided that had to come to a stop, and I had to be kind to myself as an employee. And so I started trying it on for size. Like, can I really pay myself? Is this going to work? And then I did some intensive coaching with Sunny Smith and made a plan and set a date. And so I've given notice, and this is happening. So, it's all been about building the belief while also being wise and seeing the numbers, right? I have a fractional CFO who gives me reports every month, and we meet quarterly. I have all of these steps in place to have the support, because this is not something you want to do alone. It's just hard.
Well, you're making use of the resources that you need to be successful.
Yeah.
Like, you probably could do that all yourself, but you have to realize, is that the best use of your brain, your time, your specialization, and all of that? And
you only have so many hours in a day, right? And if your higher level things, your 20% that's going to make 80% of your money, is you seeing the patients and you marketing and building the relationships, that's where you've got to focus your time. So you need somebody else to help you. Like, I also host a podcast by the same name as the practice, Sky Women's Health, to be an extension of the practice, to help to educate patients, to help them be their best healthcare advocate, whether they're seeing me or not. And what it does is builds like no trust factor. I used to set up the scheduling, do the editing, do the production of it, because it used to be easy, and the text just kept getting harder, and my time is more squeezed. And I thought, I'm not going to do this on my weekend, like spend my Sunday evening trying to make sure that it goes out, So I finally hired a podcast producer, and it's been the best investment. So, a lot of times we tell ourselves these self-limiting beliefs, like I can't afford to hire, but I'm just giving myself hours of my life back whenever I hire that person to do the thing that they are good at. It takes me 6 hours to do what he can do in 15 minutes.
Totally. Oh, I hear ya. Yeah, that's ringing true for me this week at my job too. So have you read Dan Martell's Buy Back Your Time?
I haven't.
So it's a great book. He's a great expert in marketing and things, but it's basically the idea that exactly this, like, to get your head around. And for me, it's hard because I grew up in New England, where it's very ingrained that to be a good person, you should do it all yourself. Like, a good person changes their oil in their car and puts the roof on their house when they get their friends to come over on this. I mean, it's ridiculous, but I think
this is Texas too.
Is this a Texas thing too? Yeah. Because like, if you hire someone, like, what, you can't do that yourself? You think you're too good to do that? That's kind of the mentality that I grew up with. And I think it stems from the fact that there's only 1 million people in the entire state of New Hampshire. in order to survive, you are more likely to survive if you do know how to
Sure.
unclog your own drains and shingle your own roof. But at the end of the day, it's very limiting, right? If you have that belief and you stick with it and you don't break free from it. So Dan Martell says, whatever your hourly rate is, like if you think about how much money do you make in a year, divide it by 2,000, that's your hourly rate. Divide that by 4, and that's your buyback rate. So if there's someone on earth who enjoys doing something that you don't love to do or that doesn't serve your zone of genius, whether it's folding your clothes, washing your laundry, cooking your meals, cleaning your toilets, doing your bookkeeping, whatever it is, you should, outsource that. You should hire that person on that team for you, because otherwise you're not growing your business in a smart way. It's just dumb to do it yourself. Like, you will hinder your growth if you don't. It sounds like you grew a lot this year. How did you do that? How did you grow 44%? Was it leveraged or was it organic? Like, how did it?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I need to go back and contemplate that. I had to leave my original office location, so we were a couple of miles away from that, and that felt like scary. How are patients going to find you, etc. We did a pretty good job of marketing and letting everybody know, sending out the email list and updating social media and all of the things, your Google address and all the things. And then I was using 2 rooms out of a friend's office, and then looking for new space because we had outgrown that space, and we had built a 6-figure business in 2 rooms, and we did not even have forward facing to the waiting room.
Wow.
And it wasn't an attractive waiting room either, but the care that they got, like the front office gal was grumpy and she would ring a doorbell whenever my staff needed to come get the patient. So if a patient arrived and said, I'm here to see Dr. Moyers, she says, okay, I'll let them know. And she'll ring the doorbell and my staff would come and get them and bring them back. And then they would get amazing care and get loved on. And I had one nurse's station for my front office person, for my nurse, for myself. We did it all right there. So I was looking to build out new office space and, trying to find space and what made sense financially. And just as the stars would align, the general surgeon who was in our building was leaving, and I was going to acquire the second half of our building with the agreement that our waiting room would be remodeled and I'll have the designer and we'll split the cost, So it turned out gorgeous. And I think that did help with our growth. We also are involved in, we sponsor different moms groups, and we're going where our patients are, right? Yeah. Giving talks in the community, hosting events at our practice, and then creating a beautiful space, I think has really helped. Now, one of the things that I did do, I set out to be cash-based and was really struggling. And so I did decide to take insurance for a couple of years. And as insurance companies were making it more difficult to get paid, or we were having to you know how insurance is. Taking too long to get paid, making it difficult to get paid. We would really look at the numbers with my biller and we would start dropping insurances to the point that we were down to Blue Cross Blue Shield PPO only and cash-based services. And then ultimately that number with Blue Cross Blue Shield got low enough that it was like, it's time. And so we dropped it. And I was sure this summer that the bottom was going to fall out because I raised prices and dropped insurance in the same month. And the opposite has happened.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Because you've built demand. And so now it's been 5 years. You're a known entity in your community. You're providing value and service and now in a beautiful space on top of that. I mean, the fact that you were able to make it in what sounds like a pretty less than ideal aesthetic and functional office space for so long just tells me that the care you have provided is so above and beyond what people are used to getting that they're willing to come back. And I think we all can relate to that. I definitely have gone to see a hairdresser or brought my kids to a taekwondo class that's in a less than beautiful space, but because the service that's provided is so good, it doesn't matter. Actually, my kids' preschool is an example of that. It's this really ancient building attached to a church. It's been there for 36 years, but the teachers are so amazing. It didn't matter that it was kind of in a crummy space. I love that. So it's really about exceeding expectations, believing in yourself, taking a leap of faith, and then trusting that when you step into your value by raising your prices and getting rid of insurance, that people will actually be more inclined to come to see you. Yeah. That's amazing. Well, congratulations.
Thank you so much. I want to also say that it's being willing to pivot, right? So whenever I open the doors, I really thought that my osteopathic skill set was going to be my secret sauce. So I did an neuromusculoskeletal fellowship. And
Mm.
so I'm an osteopath, and I did an OMN fellowship because whenever I was finishing up, I was like, I'm going to be an osteopath, and that makes me kind of different. And I don't know that just with my 2 years of clinicals or of, with my 2 years of coursework at that point, that I would be proficient in this osteopathic skill set. So I thought, working in the OB emergency department, I saw all these pregnant women who had back pain and pelvic pain and no
Right.
reliable solutions. And I was like, oh, okay, so what are they like? They're getting a narcotic, they're getting ruled out for preterm labor, and then,
Mhm.
And so I marketed that to all my colleagues, because at this point I had worked at 2 different hospitals doing hospice work. So I knew a lot of OBs in the town and had that like no trust. And so I go show them, like, this is what osteopathic medicine is. I'm not going to be anybody's primary OB. So they would send me their OB patients to care for. But what is interesting is that what women demanded when they saw that I was doing gynecology only was, oh my gosh, you can help me with this like post-baby state. Like, what is going on? Nobody warned me about perimenopause and menopause. And so what did I do? I had to get menopause certified. And I had to be brave enough to treat the patients and do the uncomfortable that, there's really some gaps in women's healthcare and sexual health and menopause. And so once I got menopause certified and started getting proficient, I was like, okay, well, I don't really have much in my bag for sexual health except for vaginal estrogen. So what's next? And so I went to an ISHWISH, an International Society for the Study of Women's Sexual Health conference, and learned and took all their courses, and then ultimately was able to apply for fellow status with them. So being willing to pivot, to evolve, to follow the demand and it's not that I'm just like following the money in any way, shape, or form. This is the demand of women at this time. And I love what I'm doing. It is incredibly rewarding. And
you wouldn't follow the demand if you didn't love it, I'm sure, right? Like, there's a lot of demand out there for lots of things.
Exactly. I love women's health. I was just meant to be an OBGYN. I felt that so strongly. And as I have aged and, had more children, I want more life balance. And so I think that really resonated with a lot of the women that I was seeing. And then, one tells their friend. And so a lot of times now it's word of mouth.
So what do you see as like the next opportunity for Sky? Is it going, like, how are you going to scale your expertise even further than the podcast? Are you going to do courses or speaking or education or coaching?
So my course launches Black Friday. I have a menopause master class course to help other practitioners, because all of us who take care of women need to know about menopause. You don't necessarily have to be the expert, but you have to recognize it. You have to recognize perimenopause and menopause and get them into the hands of somebody who can help them, because there are so many solutions, non-hormonal, hormonal. And so the course is really meant to help all clinicians to understand the nuances, who's a good candidate, who's not, what are the non-hormonal options, how do we counsel on lifestyle, and if we're talking about hormone therapy, well, then what? What are the nuances of hormone therapy? How do I actually prescribe? Because many times people go and get menopause certified, and it's very much an internal medicine heavy course. It's much less about the hormones. And so, they may get certified and still have a hard time with like, okay, but what do I do with this scenario? And so it's based on different clinical models. And so we'll have case studies at the end, and then all the resources for the important articles that you need to have at your fingertips. They're all connected to the course. And then my podcast episodes that are relevant to the topics are also linked. So it's really a one-stop shop with some cheat sheets.
I kind of want to take your course now, but not because I don't work with, I work with perimenopause age women who are parents, but I don't do their like care in that regard. But I am a perimenopausal woman, so now I want to like take it and learn. I don't want to overshare, but like around this time that y'all, like fall 2020 was when I started an SSRI for severe PMDD that like became a problem in perimenopause. I thought I was losing my mind because it was also the pandemic and the kids were home and it was stressful.
Right.
And I just had so many reasons why it was happening. And then finally my husband was like, maybe you want to go see this doctor I know who's like a menopause specialist. And I did. And oh my goodness, within like 2 months, I was so much better and have remained so much better on 20 milligrams of Prozac. So it's like, you don't know what you don't know.
Absolutely. Women are running to this specialist and that specialist, trying to figure
Yeah.
out what's going on. And they're not putting together that the disturbed sleep and the hot flashes, and the night sweats and the fatigue and the palpitations and the dry vagina are all related.
And the brain fog and the losing the words and all these, all the things.
So they're like, I think I have adult ADHD. I can't focus.
Yeah.
I'm on a work performance program now. Like
it's serious. It's real. I mean, and you just, nobody talks about it.
Yes. It affects every cell of our body. It is so intense. So yeah, I think that it's such an incredible need. And so that's the next thing we're growing, and going all in and being present every day at Sky is, and so then we'll see.
I'm excited for you. It's going to be awesome. So 2026 is going to be your like all in growth year. And well, we'll have to have you back on the podcast next year, and it'll be, 120% growth or something. I'm sure it's going to be amazing because you have a whole new vertical now.
Yeah.
Right? Because you're now doing like basically training of clinicians. Okay.
Right.
I love it. Awesome. So where can people find you on socials, and what's your website? And I'll put this in the show notes too, but we might as well tell people who might be driving right now and listening, or walking their walk with their earbuds in.
Sure. SkyWomen'sHealth.com is our practice. You can find me on socials at Dr. Carolyn Moyers, and Sky Women's Health Podcast is a great resource for patients. And the course is on drcarolynmoyers.com.
All right. I'll have to go check that out. All right. Yeah. So I like to ask everybody at the end of the podcast, there was someone listening right now and they're still in their employed job like you were a few years ago. What would you tell them if they have some idea or some itch inside of them that like there's something else I could or should be doing that I think could be better? What would you tell them?
I would say connect with your why. And if it really resonates, if it keeps calling, there's a reason. It's what you're supposed to be doing. And you can figure it out. We've done harder things.
100%. I love that. I love that. All right. Awesome, Carolyn. Well, it's been great having you here. Thank you so much for coming on Super Doc Stories and sharing your story. And I'm really excited for your growth and what's coming next. It's amazing.
Thank you. Thank you for the invitation.